We've got a returning witness on the stand, the Canton police officer who started his testimony late in the day yesterday, one of the first responders there. His name is Steven Saraf. He is back now, and it is time for the defense cross-examination.
Is there anything that you would like to change or amend or modify about your testimony yesterday that you thought about overnight?
No.
Did you discuss your testimony with any person between the time you got off the stand yesterday and coming back to the courtroom?
No.
Officer Saraf, I want to ask you a question about, or a couple of questions about something called a dispatch log. You know what a dispatch log is?
Yes.
What is a dispatch log? Can you describe to the jurors?
Just notes saying what time calls come in, and sometimes a short synopsis of what happened on the call.
It's an official document generated by the Canton Police Department, correct?
That's correct.
And it's kept in the ordinary course of business?
Yes.
It's created at or near the time of the event that it's recording?
Yes.
And it's supposed to be accurate?
Yes.
Is that yes?
Yes. Yes,
okay.
sir.
And in fact, what it has is the dispatch details of the event that's in question. Whatever officers show up, what time they show up, the order in which they show up, the location to which they're dispatched, things of that nature, correct?
Yes.
Have you looked at the dispatch log in this case?
No, I have not.
May I approach you on it?
Yes.
This has been pre-marked as Exhibit 27. Take a glance at that and tell me if you recognize that document.
Yes, sir.
How do you recognize it?
It looks like the log in question.
Okay, so that's the dispatch log for what date?
The 29th.
Do you see your name somewhere on that dispatch log?
Yes.
To the right, one of the three officers that was called to the scene?
Yes.
And that looks like the dispatch log for the call out that you were testifying about yesterday. Is that right?
That's correct.
May I approach you on it?
Yes.
Thank you. May I publish this as we
Yes.
discuss it? That is really small font. May I approach one more time?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is not an eye contest.
That I would not.
Eye exam, I should say. Oh, look at that. The magic of technology. All right. You can either look up on the screen or look at the dispatch log that's in front of you. I'll try to look at the one on the screen, but my eyes aren't that great either. If you look to the right, there appear to be 3 entries for the dispatch of the officers that were on the scene about which you testified yesterday, correct?
Yes, sir.
And in fact, it has this dispatch log shows that you and then Officer Mullaney and then Sergeant Good all arrived to 32 Fairview that morning within 7 seconds of each other, correct?
That's what it says, yes.
It actually has Officer Mullaney arriving first at 6:09:26. You see that?
Yes.
And you see that it also has 3 seconds later at 6:09:29 you arriving. Is that right?
6:29 it says. Excuse me, it's 6:09, yes.
6:09 and 29 seconds.
Yes, I'm sorry, yep.
That's okay. And then it has Sergeant Good arriving 4 seconds after you at 6:09 and 33 seconds, correct?
Sure, yep.
So all 3 of you, according to the official document generated by Canton Police Department for this event, has Officer Mullaney arriving first, you arriving second, Sergeant Good arriving third, all within 7 seconds of each other, correct?
Correct.
That is completely false, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, you've looked at your dispatch, your dash cam, correct? And clearly, we saw it yesterday. You arrive and there's nobody else on scene.
Correct.
That was at about 6:10 a.m. that you arrived, correct?
About that, yes.
And then Officer Mullaney actually arrives after you about 6:11 a.m. Is that right?
Yes.
And Sergeant Good does not arrive, according to your own dash cam, until about 6:16, a little after 6:15.
Yep.
All right. So right off the bat, the official Canton Police Department dispatch log, one of the first documents generated in any investigative event, that's completely wrong, right?
The times are, yes.
Well, the times and the orders, right? I mean, not only did Officer Mulaney not arrive first, you arrived first.
That's correct.
And then he arrived.
Sure.
So that's two things that are wrong about just that, correct?
Sure.
And then it has Sergeant Good arriving 4 seconds after you, which is also incorrect.
Yep.
He didn't arrive until about 6 or 7 minutes after you, right?
Sure.
All right. Have you reviewed this document in the past?
Yes? No.
You've never seen the dispatch log?
No.
Did you ever seek to make sure that the dispatch log that's so important and so vital in an investigation was actually accurate before it was turned over to the defense, for instance?
No, I didn't.
All right, but without that dispatch log, without your dash cam, we would be relying on your dispatch log to be true and accurate. Is that right?
Other than what I'm saying that what happened, correct.
And do you think it's accurate otherwise? Yeah.
Not in order, no. It's not. Not in order, no.
Other than the
time.
order and the time that the officer's responding, is it correct in all other respects in your mind?
Can you rephrase?
Sure.
Say it one more time.
Let's take away the order and the time that the officers responded. Ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
Is the dispatch log otherwise accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Take a look at the left-hand column where it's highlighted in green. What's that address?
Highlighting green?
On the screen, it's highlighted.
I'm sorry.
I'm like, I didn't see anything.
I don't have the document.
That's okay. It says 32 Fairview.
Did you arrive to 32 Fairview Road?
No.
You arrived to 34 Fairview Road,
That's correct. Yep.
So that even the location on the dispatch log is faulty, is that right?
Sure, yep.
May I approach you, Hunter?
Yes.
Yep.
You testified at a grand jury in April of 2022, correct?
I did.
At that grand jury, do you remember telling the grand jurors what address you actually responded to?
The lights, please.
Don't recall. Probably what I said in the grand
Would
jury.
it refresh your recollection if you took a quick glance
Sure.
at a copy of your grand jury testimony? May I approach you, Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Officer Saraf, I've done you the favor of highlighting a page on page 9. Where did you indicate to the grand jurors that you actually
It
arrived?
says 35 Fairview.
I know what it says. I'm asking if it refreshes your recollection that you actually testified under oath that you responded to 35 Fairview Road.
Yes.
And that is incorrect as well, isn't it?
Yes.
May I approach you, Honor?
Yes.
Have you reviewed any of the other officers' reports that relate to your dispatch out to the location that you've been testifying to?
No, I did not.
Did you ever review Sergeant Good's report?
No.
Are you aware that have you ever discussed with Sergeant Good that he wrote in his official report that you responded to 32 Fairview Road?
No.
And of course, we just talked about the fact that the dispatch log lists 32 Fairview Road and not 34 Fairview Road, correct?
Correct.
So none of the initial police reports, not the dispatch log, not your police report, apparently not Sergeant Good's, list 34 Fairview Road as the actual location where you responded that morning, correct?
As far as I know, yes. Yes, sir.
Was there an effort on your part or anybody else's, to your knowledge, to mask the actual address of Brian Albert's house as 34 Fairview Road?
No. No.
All those are just mistakes,
Yes.
over and over and over.
Yes.
When you made contact with the victim and the women that you described yesterday, did you see any evidence that any of the women had been engaged in life-saving measures?
Yes.
What did you see?
It appeared that Karen Reed was doing mouth-to-mouth on John O'Keefe.
You saw, I don't want to get too graphic, but you saw blood on her face?
Yes, I did.
You saw blood on his face?
That's correct.
You saw blood in her hair?
No, I didn't see anything.
You didn't notice that?
No, I didn't notice that.
Okay. But certainly blood on her face from having engaged in some sort of CPR activity?
Yes.
Mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, you said?
It looked like it, yes.
Okay. You also saw Carrie Roberts seemingly assisting with chest compressions. Is that right?
I'm not asking a question.
Sorry?
Objection? There's just no question.
No, you can ask it. The question hasn't been asked yet. Finish the question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Did you also see Carrie Roberts seemingly assisting in chest compressions?
I don't remember who exactly it was, but it appeared that somebody was doing
What about
Arches.
the third woman, Jennifer McCabe?
They were all around the body.
Did you see Jennifer McCabe ever engage with John O'Keefe as he lay on the ground and assist in any life-saving measures? Did you witness that?
I don't recall.
But you do recall.
We're going to hit the pause button right here. Don't go anywhere. The cross of that responding officer continues after this break.
This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
It's a controversial case that's divided a community.
Karen Reed is accused of murdering her police officer boyfriend.
Prosecutors say she ran him over on purpose and left him to die in the cold.
But Reed claims that she's being framed.
It smells suspicious.
After years of legal fireworks, will the truth finally be revealed?
The end game is to figure out who killed John O'Keefe and hold these people responsible.
The killer or cover-up murder trial. Live coverage today, only on Court TV.
Karen Reed was framed. Her car never struck John O'Keefe. She did not cause his death. And that means that somebody else did.
Was Karen Reed really framed? What do you think so far? Let's go back into the courtroom now. We've got the first officer who responded to the scene being cross-examined by the Reed defense team.
Yes.
Isn't it true that Jennifer McCabe pulled you aside while my client and Carrie Roberts stayed with John O'Keefe and began engaging you in a conversation?
Yes.
And she was providing some sort of a narrative to you, correct?
Correct.
While the other two women are trying to save John O'Keefe's life, she's talking to you.
For brief seconds, I would say.
For brief seconds?
Yes.
You saw the dash cam video. Was those several minutes on the dash cam video where she's standing and having a conversation with you? Are those the brief seconds? That
I don't know what time frame you're talking about, Tim.
I'm talking about right after you got there.
Right after I got there.
Correct. Did you ever see Jennifer McCabe do anything physically to help John O'Keefe?
No, I didn't see anything.
Did Jennifer McCabe offer to you during that brief seconds that you described, this narrative that she was having, this conversation she was having with you, did she ever offer the fact that she was standing in front of her sister's house?
No.
Did she ever offer the fact that her brother-in-law, who lives in the house, is a first responder?
Sustained.
Were you apprised at any time while you were out there that the homeowner was a first responder?
Objection.
Sustained.
Based on your observations between Karen Reed and Jennifer McCabe, which one of those women appeared to be more focused on trying to save John's life in the moment?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Can you repeat the question, sir?
Between Karen Reed and Jennifer McCabe, which one of those two women, based on your observations, appeared to you to be more focused on physically trying to save John O'Keefe's life in the moment?
At that point, it was Karen Reed.
You would agree with me, Officer Saraf, that in any investigation, details matter, accuracy matters, correct?
Sure.
Reports are written in police investigations in order to memorialize observations, things heard, seen, experienced by the officers, correct?
Yes.
And generally speaking, you're trained to write those reports and memorialize those observations as quickly as possible so that things are fresh in your memory.
Correct.
You don't want to write a report about an incident that you respond to today, 2 years from now.
No.
As a matter of fact, you're trained exactly the opposite. When you respond to a scene, it's somewhat important. You need to get it down on paper as quickly as possible for detail and accuracy, right?
Yes.
You did, in fact, write a report, a supplemental report for this investigation where you laid out your observations of that morning, correct?
That's correct.
All right, we're going to hit the pause button right here because we're getting at the point where we need to hit a break. Let me bring back in quickly for final thoughts Sergeant Joe Giacalone and Detective Mike Alcazar. Sarge, you were talking about the importance of reports. It's like you knew, you had a crystal ball. Who knew that they were going to pull up this call log that this officer didn't write, never looks at? Somebody else authored it. Great job by the defense team getting it in through him. The officer just conceded to everything. What were you thinking as you were watching that?
I knew exactly where he was headed with it, you know, so this is how it's going to go. Every police report here, everything's going to be scrutinized to the nth degree. Whether it's going to help the case or not is a whole other story. But, you know, this last thing we kind of left on a cliffhanger because this is exactly what I was hoping for, to find out what this officer wrote on his report about his observations when he responded to the scene. This is going to be pivotal.
Yeah, it really is. We'll play it. We just have a little less than a minute, but we will play it on the other side, Sarge. Detective Alcazar, want to ask you about something else here, please. The defense in their questioning already trying to paint other people as the bad actors and paint their client as a hero. In any case, if somebody commits a homicide, but then after the fact tries to resuscitate them, does it absolve them from criminal liability?
No. You know, in fact, they might be just trying to protect themselves from prosecution or being found of guilt. So it's possible it's just subterfuge on Karen Reed's part to make it look like she's caring for the victim, for her husband. I'm not saying that's the case, but it definitely happens.
Right. It sure does happen in other cases. And who knows if it happened here. We do know the state has evidence, video evidence of her car going back to Fairview Road before she got the two women who are friends with John O'Keefe to go with her. So a part of their theory, at least in the motions that they filed, is that she knew she was going to find him dead, that he was already deceased, and that this was an act. We'll see if they get there with the evidence presentation. I'm so happy we had you both on the show. Detective Mike Alcazar, Sergeant Joe Giacalone, thank you both so much. We'll be right back, and we'll see more about this officer and whether he wrote down key details in the case. Don't go anywhere.
Asked about the origination of some of those injuries. Then stated repeatedly, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
You'll learn that he looked to have been attacked and beaten up.
What really stood out to me was, you know, the eyes. It was almost as if like there were ping pong balls under his eyelids. They were that swollen.
I don't think I'm ever going to see you guys again. And I said, of course you will. We're friends.
Welcome to the second hour of Court TV Live. I'm your host, Julie Grant, and we're in the second day of trial in Dedham, Massachusetts, and the one we're calling the killer or cover-up murder trial involving defendant Karen Reed, the victim, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Let's go back in now. We're hearing from the first responding officer to the scene. He's been cross-examined by the defense.
These are called incident reports, correct?
Yes.
I'm holding what appears to be a multi-page document that is entitled an incident report. May I approach?
Yes.
Take a look at the tabbed page and tell me if you recognize what's on that page.
I'm sorry.
You recognize that? All I'm asking you is, you recognize that as your report?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sorry.
Did you write that?
Yes, sir.
When did you write that?
I believe the morning of.
So that would be January 29th.
That's correct.
A little bit later in the morning after you left the scene.
Yes.
And you were reflecting back on what had just happened minutes or hours before, correct?
Yep.
And you were trying to be as truthful as possible, correct?
Yes.
You were trying to be as accurate as possible.
Yes.
As comprehensive as possible.
Yes.
And as thorough as possible.
Yes.
You wrote in that report, quote, Karen Reed kept screaming, "Is he dead? Is he dead?" She was severely distraught and not able to tell me what happened. Correct?
That's correct.
May I approach?
Yes.
There was no limit to the amount of words that you could put on the page, correct?
No.
Matter of fact, there's a ton of white space. It's left unutilized, right?
That's correct.
You could have taken as much time as you wanted to in writing this report. Is that right?
Sure.
And is that yes?
Yes.
There was no reason to abbreviate anything. Is that right?
No.
And you tried to be as accurate as you possibly could in that moment?
Yes.
And put everything down in that report that reflected what you experienced and what you observed and what you heard that morning, correct?
Yes.
And the only statement you attribute to my client on that morning, just hours after the incident or minutes after the incident, was she kept repeating, "Is he dead?" Correct?
Yes.
You were interviewed by Michael Proctor the next day, weren't you?
I don't know what day it was, but
Would it refresh your recollection to take a look at the report?
Sure.
May I approach you?
Yes.
Take a look at that report that's dated March 15, but reflects an interview on January 30, and then tell me if you recognize it. All right.
it looks like his report.
Okay. That's Trooper Proctor's report of an interview that he did with you, correct?
Yes.
And if you look on the second page, a paragraph about what you stated to Trooper Proctor.
That's highlighted?
I highlighted it for you, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Did you tell Trooper Proctor, let me withdraw that, ask it a different way. Were you trying to be as thorough and comprehensive with Trooper Proctor as you were in your own report?
Yes.
You weren't holding anything back in that interview, correct?
No.
You wanted to be as truthful and as honest as you possibly could?
Yep.
And as comprehensive as you possibly could, correct?
Yes.
You told Trooper Proctor that you could, quote, hear Karen Reed continually state, "Is he dead?" as the paramedics treated the victim. Officer Saraf then seen Karen inside her friend's vehicle, correct?
Correct.
So the only statement you attributed to my client the day after this incident was those three words, "Is he dead?" that she continually repeated. Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
In the two times that you were asked to reflect back on exactly what happened that morning, on January 29th and January 30th, both times you attributed only three words to my client having been repeated continually in her distraught state. "Is he dead?" Right?
Yes.
And she wasn't saying that calmly, I'm assuming.
No.
Matter of fact, you used the word she was severely distraught. Is that right?
That's correct.
When you say severely distraught, we saw part of that on your dash cam. She was emotional.
Yes.
Upset.
Yes.
Focused on John.
Yes.
Trying to save his life.
Yes.
And asking, what was the question that she asked?
Is he dead?
Over and over and over, correct?
Correct.
Then you were asked to testify in April of 2022, April 14th of 2022, at a state-run grand jury by the Commonwealth.
Yes.
Matter of fact, Mr. Lally was the fine prosecutor who was asking you the questions, correct?
Yes.
Between the time you wrote your report on January 29th and you gave a statement officially on January 30th, between that time and when you testified in April of 2022, do you have any meetings with anybody from the Massachusetts State Police?
No.
Do you have any meetings with Mr. Lally?
No.
Did Mr. Lally put you on the stand without talking to you first?
No, for this trial?
Nope. I'm just, the dates in question are up to April 14th, 2022, that grand jury.
I don't recall.
You don't recall if you met with either Mr. Lally or any of his contemporaries to discuss your potential testimony?
Not before. I don't recall meeting with him for that. No. The one time I met with him in his office was a couple of weeks ago with this.
In preparation for this testimony?
Correct.
But your testimony now is that he didn't meet with you or you did not connect with him to discuss your testimony before the April grand jury?
I don't recall.
When you did testify in that grand jury, you changed your story, didn't you?
No.
You believe you testified completely consistently at that grand jury as you had in your report?
I testified for what I remember what happened, sir.
I see. Was your memory better in April than it was minutes or hours after the event?
Was it better?
Was it better or worse?
I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think your memory gets better as time goes on?
Not usually, no.
No. Usually it's the opposite, isn't it?
Yes.
Memories get foggy, they fade.
Yes.
Which is why you write reports the day of the incident, if you can, correct?
Yes.
Do you remember what you testified to at the grand jury in April of 2022?
The whole thing?
No, sorry. That was a bad question on my part. Just as it relates to statements attributed to my client.
Yes.
What was your exact testimony in April of 2022?
I'd have to look at my.
Would it refresh your recollection if you saw a copy of your
Sure.
Grand jury transcript? May I approach?
Yes.
Look at page 18. Let me know once you remember, once you review that and tell me if that refreshes your recollection.
Yes, it does.
In fact, on April 14th, 2022, months after this event, for the first time, you said, quote, and these are your words, tell me if I get them right. She, you know, this is my fault. I don't know. She said, you know, I can't believe this happened. I mean, she kept asking if he was going to die, if he's dead. And, you know, I just basically said, you know, we're doing the best that we could, end quote.
That's correct.
May I approach?
Yes.
So in April of 2022, for the first time, you attributed the phrase, "This is my fault. I can't believe this happened," to my client, correct?
That's correct.
But nowhere in your official report did you say that.
That's correct.
And nowhere in your interview with Trooper Proctor the next day did you say that.
That's correct.
You think that was a pretty important omission on your part?
It was an oversight.
An oversight?
Yes, sir.
That a woman whom you made contact with, standing over the body of a fallen police officer, said to you, "This is my fault." Just missed that one. Yes?
Yes, I missed it. Yeah, I didn't write it down.
And then, of course, you testified yesterday and your statement changed again, right?
I don't.
You remember what you said yesterday to these jurors?
I don't remember word for word.
Well, I wrote it down. Let's see if this helps.
Yep.
Yesterday you said, my client said, quote, It's all my fault. I did this, end quote.
Yes.
Remember that? Mm-hmm. Is that yes?
Yes, sir.
But you didn't say that at the grand jury.
No.
And you didn't say that to Trooper Proctor.
No, sir.
And you didn't put it in your report.
That's correct.
Okay, so this is 101. If I was a prosecutor on this case and this officer was my affiant, I would be affiant, the person who files charges, let's just say, I'd be mad because admissions are something you always want in your case. If you ever are so fortunate to have a defendant admit to something, you put it in writing. This way it's documented, it's preserved. Here, she very well may have said it, but he didn't write it down, and now her defense team is doing exactly what they should do, and they're crossing him hard on that. That's a problem. That's one of those things you got to have in your report if it happens. Let's hit a break. When we come back, I'll hit pause here. You won't miss any of this line of questioning. We'll go back in and see what else is coming at this officer in the cross.
Everyday people, just like you, accused of the unthinkable.
He needed to eliminate this person. This is, in fact, a murder.
Accomplice to Murder returns with an all-new season.
I know the manipulation. I know the lies.
Taking you beyond the ringleaders.
This is somebody he trusted.
And into the heart of the case.
They were in this together.
Accomplice to Murder with Vinnie Politan. All-new season premieres Sunday night, 8/7 Central.
Only on Court TV.
Vote.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. Let's get you back into the courtroom now. We're in Dedham, Massachusetts for the trial over the murder of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. And we've got the first responding officer under cross-examination. Let's go back in.
If you were to testify in another 2 or 3 weeks, you think her statement would just keep evolving?
Objection. Sustained.
Now I want to shift gears for a second and talk about what Ms. Reed actually said that morning. You said that you reviewed your dash cam video, correct?
Once.
Do you remember when you arrived, one of the first things out of your mouth was the question, what happened?
Yes.
That would be a natural question to
Sure.
ask.
Yep.
Trying to assess the scene and assess the situation.
Absolutely.
And you would want to listen closely to what that answer was, correct?
Sure.
Ms. Reed did in fact answer you, didn't she?
I don't recall what she said.
She said, quote, my boyfriend, I left him and he never came home, end quote. Correct?
I don't know. I don't recall.
You agree, we've already agreed, that details matter in any investigation.
Absolutely.
They certainly matter in this investigation, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'd like you to take a look at what's been pre-marked as Exhibit 26. This is about the 3:50 runtime. I'm not looking at the actual. I'm not looking at the actual time of day over here. I'm looking at the runtime, which is down at the bottom. So if Mr. Bates, you could put this up tomorrow. Can you pause it? Just to orient everybody, does this appear to be your dash cam?
Yes, sir.
Same dash cam you were looking at yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it, Mr. Bates. And pause it. Officer Saraf, just like it's not an eye exam, it's not a hearing exam either. I'm going to do the best I can to raise the volume. And Officer Saraf, I want to focus your attention, if you wouldn't mind, on 9 seconds after you say what happened. Just count in your head and listen very, very carefully to the woman's voice that responds to what she says. Go ahead. Very, very hard to hear. Have you listened to that before?
No.
Does it appear to you that she said, my boyfriend, I left him and he never came home?
I couldn't understand anything.
Okay. Let's replay it one more time. And turn the volume up one more time right at that moment. Listen for a woman's voice just under. Sorry, I was asking Officer Saraf, please listen to, there's a din of noise, obviously, road noise, wind noise, etc. It's your dash cam, the audio from your dash cam. Once you close the door, listen very carefully, about 9 seconds after you say what happened, for a woman's voice, and see if you can make out what that voice says.
Sure.
One more time. Stop. Did you hear? I left him and he never came home.
I couldn't understand what they were saying.
You couldn't understand that?
No.
Do you want to hear it one more time?
No.
I don't think it...
No. Turn the lights on, please.
Now, if my client had said, my boyfriend, I left him and he never came home, would that be something that you would find important to put in your report?
Objection.
Sustained.
Let's move to another area of the dash cam video. I want to keep playing it at the 28-minute mark, 28-minute and 20-second mark or so.
So can I see counsel at sidebar for just a minute, please?
All right, well, they're going to sidebar. I'm going to go to my guest, retired deputy inspector for the NYPD and the author of the book, A Wanson Cop. Corey Begis is with us. Corey, good morning. Good to see you. Oh, boy, you have supervised lots of officers throughout your career. Your thoughts on this officer not including things like, oh, I don't know, the defendant's admissions in his report?
Oh, I've been waiting for this trial, Julie. Listen, this officer definitely dropped the ball. Admissions, like this is cop 101. I think probably in like the first or second week in the police academy, they're teaching you that, to always jot down, especially, you know, spontaneous utterances. Would you think that's admissions? You have to jot that stuff down. Not only did he not jot it down, he didn't say it to a grand jury, then miraculously he remembers it. Like, he's just not the creme de la creme of police officers. I don't even like his gait. I don't even like his demeanor on his stand. He's just very laid back, as if like this is bothering him to come here. He probably should have picked up a job at Walgreens, because of being a police officer, we need him to be on point. This is a homicide. Somebody died, and you're talking about some of the most vital information. Somebody screaming and yelling, saying, this is all my fault. This is all my fault. You don't write that down? Come on. That's small town policing again, Julie. I keep telling you about small town policing.
Yeah, that's a crying shame that he didn't include such important information. And Corey, you're right, especially when somebody died here. You know, this isn't a traffic stop for, you know, what, you know, a little bit of dope or something. This is a death. A police officer is dead. You know, his brother in arms is dead. You know, I mean, my gosh, you're right. He does look like he needs to wake up. He needs to wake up, and so does this prosecutor, because you know what? This was a terrible choice for a first officer to call here when really he isn't adding a whole heck heck of a lot. This whole presentation of the case by the prosecution is leaving so much to be desired. And what kills me is they have really strong evidence. They're just ineffectively presenting it. Corey Pegues, I'm so glad we have you here. Stand by, please. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, we're going to have another witness coming on the stand after this first officer. Don't go away. We've got some breaking news just in. Former President Donald Trump is being held in contempt of court, and a New York judge has fined him $9,000 for repeatedly violating a gag order. The former president is not allowed to make public statements about witnesses, jurors, or others connected to his New York alleged hush money case. But Trump claims that he's exercising his free speech rights. The judge warned him that he'll send him to jail if he keeps doing it. Court TV is, of course, following this developing story for you. We'll share any updates for you as we have them. Right now, let's go back to Dedham, Massachusetts. That sidebar is over. There are a couple more questions left from the defense on cross for this witness, and then we're going to see the second witness called of the day.
Do you recognize your dash cam video being on the left of the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you looked at Sergeant Good's dash cam video, which is squared up on the right side of the screen?
No.
You've never seen it?
No.
Okay. Does it appear to you that these are two different perspectives of the same scene? In other words, you see the car or the SUV on the left side of the screen right here, correct?
Yes, sir.
See that same SUV right there, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does that appear to be two different perspectives, two different angles?
Yes.
Of basically the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. I want to draw your attention to the individuals to the left of the SUV right here. There's a person wearing a hood with fur on it. Is that Kerry Roberts? To your memory?
I don't know.
Okay. There appears to be another person with a darker jacket standing just in front of that person with the hood and fur. You see that person?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to focus on the person in the darker jacket.
Sure.
I believe, and the only reason I'm asking you to focus at this point is because I want to try to play this just once and see if you recognize what's depicted in the video.
Sure.
What I expect you may see is this person move out of sight behind the SUV, and then in the background, there's an SUV parked in the driveway. Pay special attention to that portion of the SUV and see if you see that person in the dark jacket pass from right to left in front of that SUV as if they're going to the house. Let's go ahead and play it. Have you seen the person in the dark jacket leave the view?
Yes.
Did she appear to go behind the SUV?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and play it. Go ahead and stop track. And now I'm going to ask to draw your attention to that car with snow on it. Pay special attention to that car as the film continues to run. Go ahead. Pause. Do you see a person standing in front of the car?
It appears to be a person, yes.
Walking from right to left?
Yes.
Would that be toward the house?
Yes, it would be.
Okay. And also, if you wouldn't mind switching your perspective, now you're looking more at the front of the house. Continue watching the film and see if you see that same person walking toward the house. Okay, stop. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see. Oh, yes. I saw the shadow, yes.
Right. Shadow of a person
Yes.
walking toward the front of the house.
Yes.
That was Jennifer McCabe going into the house, wasn't it?
I have no idea.
Was it a person going into the house?
It was a person, yes.
Did you give anybody any permission to go into the house?
No, not my own.
Would you think that a witness in a homicide scene, we can go ahead and raise the lights, thank you. Would you think that a witness at a homicide scene being allowed to go into a house to make contact with other witnesses?
I didn't know it was a homicide scene, sir.
If I could finish my question. Do you think it's appropriate for a witness at a potential homicide scene, an unconscious person scene, whatever, crime scene,
Yes.
to make contact with other witnesses and begin discussing the situation unsupervised?
Can you rephrase that question, sir?
Do you think that's an appropriate thing to have happen?
I have no answer for that, sir. I don't know what you're asking.
Officer Saraf, when you go to a crime scene,
Yes, sir.
one of the first things that you'd want to do is secure the scene and separate witnesses so that interviews could be conducted, correct?
Sure.
You wouldn't want witnesses just cavorting together and getting their story straight, right?
Correct.
You'd want to avoid that at all costs,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And why is that?
So they can't collaborate their story.
Yet there was a person walking from the area where a body was found in the lawn of a house, walking into the house to make contact with other individuals, correct?
It appeared that way, yes, sir.
Does that seem appropriate to you?
No.
Of course not. We've talked a bit about what you did and didn't hear at the scene from my client. At any point when you were at that location, did you hear my client repeating the phrase, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him?
She said, I hit him? No, I didn't hear that part.
You never heard her whisper it, yell it, say it, or otherwise?
Not that I recall.
If you had heard that statement, you likely would have written it down, wouldn't you?
Yes.
You likely would have reported that to Trooper Proctor the next day, wouldn't you?
Yes.
You likely would have mentioned it in your grand jury testimony, correct?
Yes.
And you did none of those things because you did not hear that statement, correct?
I did not hear that, no.
Sir, you were at 34 Fairview for more than an hour before you cleared the scene, right?
Yes, sir.
You were at the location of the body of John O'Keefe.
Yes.
In other words, you just didn't stay in your cruiser. You walked out to where John O'Keefe was.
No, I was in my cruiser at different times.
Must have been a bad question.
Okay.
You didn't just stay in your cruiser. At points, you got out of your cruiser, walked over, made contact with the women, and you were standing next to the body.
Yes.
And you were obviously looking around. You noticed some footprints.
Yes.
And you even noticed some lack of footprints.
That's correct.
So you were being observant at the area of the body.
Yes.
And the area adjacent to the body.
Yes.
You were looking for anything that might have been out of place?
Yes.
Anything of any evidentiary value, correct?
Yes.
You never saw or otherwise observed or located a single piece of taillight material, did you?
No.
You certainly didn't see 45 pieces of broken plastic or taillight material, did you?
No.
You never located or otherwise observed John O'Keefe's missing shoe?
No.
Or any other clothing of his?
I didn't, no.
Officer Saraf, did you ever think to look inside the house
No.
for that missing shoe?
No.
That never crossed your mind?
No.
You think that might have been a smart thing to do at the time?
Objection, Your Honor.
Rephrase the question.
Sure. Do you think that would have been appropriate protocol when dealing with a body laying on a lawn that is partially unclothed to look inside the house of the lawn?
No.
You didn't think that would have been an appropriate protocol?
No.
For you or anybody else?
No.
Obviously, you did not conduct a search of that house, did you?
No.
And you're aware that to this day, no law enforcement officer ever conducted a search of that house?
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything, Mr. Lally?
Briefly, Your Honor.
Okay.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
You were asking questions and you were shown a dispatch log, is that correct?
That's correct.
And dispatch log, as far as the Canton Police Department is concerned, are you aware of sort of how or when or who creates that?
Yes.
And can you explain to the jury sort of how that document sort of comes into being?
So when a call comes in, an officer is at the desk, and usually the first thing they would do is dispatch, get people going to the scene, and get everybody rolling as far as if they need FD, police, whatever resources they need, and basically then type in what the call is and who's going.
So fair to say it's more important to get assets allocated to a scene, especially in the case of an emergency, which is why someone's calling 911, than to ensure that the dispatch time is correct down to the second.
Absolutely.
Now, you were asking questions about different things that you heard the defendant say, correct?
That's correct.
And you were shown specifically some grand jury testimony from April of 2022 in which you indicated during that testimony that the defendant stated, "This is my fault."
Yes.
And is that based on your memory of what she said?
Yes.
And you also testified yesterday along those same lines, correct?
Correct.
What you testified to before this jury, as far as your memory, is that accurate as to what happened on that scene, January 29th, 2022?
Yes.
Now, prior to this call, did you know Kerry Roberts?
No.
Did you know Karen Reed?
No.
Did you know John O'Keefe?
No.
Did you know Jennifer McCabe?
No.
Based on what you've seen as far as the dash camera, would you be able to differentiate between Jennifer McCabe or Kerry Roberts from that dash camera footage?
No.
Now, while you were on scene, did you see anybody from 34 Fairview Road, from that address, come outside?
No.
Did you see anybody from any address on that entire street for the entire 90 minutes that you were there come outside?
No.
Now, you were asking questions about some different addresses on Fairview, whether they be 32 or 35. Do you know where either 32 or 35 is located in relation to 34?
It would be next to each other in sequential order.
Nothing further.
Okay.
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, you're all set, officer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Lally, who is your next witness?
Before we get to the next witness, let me bring in my guest because we got to hit a break and I want to hear from him. Corey Pegee standing by watching this. Corey, I don't know who I'm more disgusted with the lack of preparation, whether it's the prosecutor or this officer or both. I mean, this is embarrassingly bad. The O'Keefes have lost their son, their brother. This is a death case. And the attitudes, I mean, this is astounding to me. Your thoughts, please.
Yeah, well, you know what, Julie, this is good. This is why I love Court TV. It's showing America that, like, these cases are not solved 40 minutes and 20-minute commercials. This is probably, like, normal around the country with the over, I think, 118,000 police departments. Everything isn't pristine. The prosecutor, I believe he has a lot of evidence. He has to start ratcheting it up. Hopefully, this is the worst that he has, because if this is his best, God help, Karen Reed is going to walk away if all of his witnesses are coming across like this cop. He, police work is all about, gathering evidence, analyzing it, and making a decision. Like, that's just police 101, prosecutor 101.
Yes.
This should have been ironclad. There's so many times that you as a prosecutor, you sit with the officer, you go over the story, you go over the story, you go over the story, you go over the story.
Prepare
and
them.
you don't want him up there saying, Oh, I can't recall.
Don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know who that was.
Oh, I
Yeah.
guess.
It was disgraceful, wasn't it? That was disgraceful. That he's, well, I don't know who that is. You got to be kidding me. And then I went, why'd the prosecutor call him if he wasn't going to know anything? I mean, it's mind-boggling. Oh my gosh.
Well, we know he had to call him because he was the first officer on the scene.
Sure.
And the prosecutor can't be happy. It's no way that he had this performance on the stand and didn't have this performance on a preparing him. You know that, Joe.
Right. You're exactly right, Corey. This wouldn't have been a surprise. He would have known to do better and to wake up and object. So many missed opportunities, as you know. Corey Pegues, always love having you on this program. Thank you so much for